1 for 1. The U.S. Commerce Secretary proposes a plan where the U.S. produces as many chips as it imports from Taiwan. Is China using a trade deal to push the U.S. to change its stance on Taiwan? Thousands of volunteers are in eastern Taiwan to help with typhoon cleanup efforts. But as a long weekend draws to a close, concerns arise over the recovery timeline. Plus, nuts about fashion. Learn how one enterprising couple in southern Taiwan has turned a local crop into a spectrum of colorful dyes. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Leslie Liao. A fresh push for U.S.-made chips could link Taiwan's tariff relief to building more chip capacity in America, at least according to U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who said Washington needs something in exchange for, quote, protecting Taiwan. But as Chris Gorn reports, such a plan might not be so easy.
The United States may require that for every chip imported from Taiwan, one chip be produced in the U.S. as part of a broader trade deal with Taipei. That's according to U.S. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick in a recent interview. It comes as Taipei and Washington negotiate a deal to lower the 20% tariff on most Taiwanese goods and avoid special semiconductor tariffs. Lutnick says he's given Taiwan a proposal on chip production, saying, quote, "The idea that I pitched them was, let's get to 50-50. We're producing half and you're producing half. We're still fundamentally reliant upon you because we can't live without the other half. But if we have half, we have the capacity to do what we need to do if we need to do it." And he goes on to say regarding Taiwan making most of the world's chips, quote, "Donald Trump would say it's not healthy for you or healthy for us because we protect you. And for us to protect you, you need to help us achieve reasonable self-sufficiency." The White House has so far not responded to requests for comment. Taiwan's Office of Trade Negotiations declined to comment. Some lawmakers from the opposition KMT have criticized Lutnick's proposal, saying it would forcibly split production of Taiwan's most critical industry. Getting anywhere near 50-50 chip production would take time and lots of money. Taiwan's chip giant TSMC has already committed $165 billion to its U.S. build-out in Arizona, the largest foreign investment in U.S. history. And it says about 30% of its 2-nanometer capacity will eventually be in Arizona once all sites are built, far from half of all chips. Neither Taipei nor Washington has made an official statement on a deal, so things could still change, and we'll be watching for critical developments. Alex Chun and Chris Gorin in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
A new report suggests China could be seizing on U.S. President Donald Trump's push for a trade deal, pressing Washington to go a step further on Taiwan and openly declaring opposition to Taiwan independence. Alan Liu reports on Beijing's latest bid to isolate Taipei.
According to the Wall Street Journal, ongoing trade talks between the Trump administration and China may be furthering goals that Chinese President Xi Jinping has held for years.
两岸同胞一家亲，谁也无法隔断我们的血脉亲情。 谁也不能阻挡祖国统一的历史大势。
Beijing views Taiwan as its territory and considers questions about the country an internal matter. Although it has not ruled out the use of force in taking Taiwan, it has so far taken a softer approach, using legal warfare, working to isolate Taiwan diplomatically, and slowly asserting military pressure.
Tensions erupt in the Taiwan Strait. China launches one of its largest military drills in years.
Now, China may actually be leveraging trade talks with the U.S. to further isolate Taiwan. The Wall Street Journal report says Xi is planning to push U.S. President Donald Trump to adopt a tougher stance on Taiwan as part of its trade deal with the U.S. It says Xi plans to push Trump to say the U.S. opposes Taiwan independence, a break from previous phrasing saying it does not support it. With China and the U.S. imposing steep tariffs on each other, analysts question whether political concessions will be used to break the impasse.
The U.S. has a long-term policy of its Taiwan policy and also its One China policy. That is, the U.S. will not change its position on Taiwan's legal status and also do not push for any kinds of talks between the two sides. of the closed trade. So I think that it is very little. There's very, very little chance that the U.S. will change any kinds of this symbolic move.
While it's unclear whether Trump could be swayed by Chinese pressure, Taiwan's foreign ministry says it's taking the matter seriously.
近日联大期间，包括美日韩3国的外长会议以及 G7 外长会议的联合声明，都再度重申支持维持台海和平与稳定，以及反对任何片面改变现状企图的立场。
All this comes amid a rocky stretch in U.S.-Taiwan relations. Earlier this month, the Trump administration reportedly delayed military aid to Taiwan, and in July denied President Lai Ching-te a U.S. transit in the country, forcing him to cancel a Latin America trip. These moves raising questions in Washington and Taipei over whether Trump is prioritizing deal-making over support for Taiwan.
也因为川普总统这种做法，更强化了中国很多学者他们的这种想法，他们觉得说川普应该是可以继续交易的。
Taiwan has faced pressure from China for decades, and with doubts growing about its relationship with its key backer, the U.S., its future looks increasingly uncertain. What is certain is that as Washington and Beijing work to resolve their trade impasse, Taiwan will be focused on the terms of that deal. Scott Huang and Ella Lu for TaiwanPlus.
To better understand the Trump administration's policy toward Taiwan, Isabel Wong spoke with Randall Shriver, who served as U.S. Assistant Secretary of Defense during Trump's first term.
So when people look at President Trump, he's very hard to predict, and then you personally work with him very closely. What is his decision-making process like looking at U.S.-Taiwan-China relation?
I haven't seen any signs that he views Taiwan as a bargaining chip, as you sometimes hear when you talk to people here, or that he's on the brink of making huge concessions related to Taiwan. I don't know him that well, but I did spend some time supporting the Korea diplomacy, and I was with him in Hanoi when he walked away from a deal with the North Koreans. He said it was a bad deal, and sometimes you walk away from a bad deal. So in my experience, he is transactional, but really still grounded to American interests and unlikely to take a bad deal as long as he recognizes it's a bad deal.
In November, we all know that Trump will potentially meet with his Chinese leader Xi Jinping. What do you think that the topics they will probably talk about or Taiwan related?
It's quite common for China to make attempts at linkages. Well, if you want this on trade, you've got to do this on Taiwan. I don't think that's going to be a very attractive offer to the president. I don't think he will want to look weak. I don't think he'll want to make a move that looks like he made too many concessions to Xi Jinping.
I want to quote here because Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent actually commented about the chip about Taiwan as well. And then there he said the single greatest point of failure for the world economy is the 99% of the high performance chips that are produced in Taiwan. So he's trying to de-risk by moving more chips production elsewhere. So what do you think about that?
I can't speak for him, and I can't interpret exactly what he meant.
Just in general, like the U.S. administration has moved by doing that.
Yeah. To me, it suggests Taiwan should be a closer partner and a stronger partner, and that our economies are complementary, not competitive. We should have a lot of confidence in Taiwan's ability to continue to play that role as a global leader, particularly a dominant leader in the supply chain when it comes to these high-end chips. Yes, the U.S. would like to see some of that manufacturing move to the United States. Yes, we'd like to see some of the supply chain also move to the United States so that we have some clean and secure capability to manufacture. But it would be unrealistic if by de-risk they mean 100%.
No, they mentioned like 30, 40, 50%.
Yeah. I understand the interest on the part of the administration in the United States, but that's a negotiation. Taiwan has chips to bring to the table too, no pun intended.
That was former U.S. Assistant Secretary of Defense Randall Shriver speaking in Taipei. You can watch the full interview on an upcoming episode of Zoom In, Zoom Out here on TaiwanPlus. Taiwan's foreign minister is visiting Poland this week as part of an effort to deepen ties with Europe. Lin Jialong will speak at the Warsaw Security Forum. There, he'll emphasize Taiwan's technological development and its ability to help Europe re-industrialize amid U.S.-China competition. On Facebook, Ling said he hopes to demonstrate Taiwan's importance to Europe. Poland and Taiwan do not maintain formal diplomatic relations, and Ling is listed as an expert, not an official government official on the forum's speakers list. He recently wrapped up similar trips to Austria, Italy, and the Czech Republic. The UN is bringing back sanctions on Iran over its nuclear program. It comes 10 years after they were lifted under the 2015 nuclear deal. Britain, France, and Germany say Iran has broken that agreement, triggering the return of sanctions. Those reimposed sanctions include an arms embargo, a ban on uranium enrichment, and travel bans on some Iranian citizens. Tehran has condemned the decision, vowing to retaliate, and recalled its ambassadors from London, Paris, and Berlin for consultations. Singapore has refused entry to prominent Hong Kong democracy activist Nathan Law. He was detained for half a day after flying in from San Francisco for a conference. Hong Kong has a $128,000 bounty on Law for his role in the city's 2014 and 2019 pro-democracy protests. He fled in 2020 after Beijing imposed its controversial national security law and has been in exile in the US and UK ever since. Law, who holds a UK refugee passport, says Singapore had already granted him a visa and gave no explanation for his detention. He has now returned to San Francisco. Taiwan's first domestically built submarine, the Typhoon, will likely continue sea trials this week despite the resignation of its lead advisor. The vessel is set to undergo a fourth navigation test around September 30th. This comes even as Admiral Huang Shuguang steps down from his role as lead advisor, citing family reasons. Shipbuilder CSBC has pledged to keep the project on schedule while maintaining strict safety standards. If the surface trials go well, the Typhoon will move on to shallow water dives, then progressively deeper dives, followed by torpedo launching tests. Coming up after the break, Taiwan nabs 1 gold and 2 silver at a major international badminton competition. Stay tuned.
From a small studio in Taiwan to a global community for undaunted voices.
I'm just very grateful that they are able to spend time being part of Taiwan Talks and also being here with us today.
It's so refreshing that from a different country, from Taiwan, we are actually getting to see a show without noise, without yelling, and it's just complete facts and expert opinion.
Every single episode is about a Taiwan perspective.
Taiwanese speaking something from our heart.
Bringing forward all these different perspectives and voices to engage the world more seriously and continuously.
So the world will know that we are part of this globalized world.
British warship transited the international waters.
We're facing
without compromising our national security.
Definitely a lot of potential for these countries.
How important do you think that is?
Rule of law based order.
It's been 3 years of almost every waking hour devoted to the show. Today, we have something, and that something is precious.
For more stories from Taiwan and Osaka, download the TaiwanPlus app.
你看到他的第一眼，你就知道他是你的，这是一种很奇妙的感觉。
毛小孩就是小孩啊，一样。
他们就是玩到累了，然后休息一下，然后起来再继续玩。
我发现我们的生活好像不能没有狗。我们就说，其实他们是派来救赎我们的。
啊，快好了，快好了，最后一个了。饲主其实都很相信我们，因为很相信我们，他对我们就会抱有很大的期望。
他本来不吃饭，经过一番努力之后，他回到他原本该有快乐的样子。哇，我超级开心！
愿景就让每一只动物都可以获得好的专科治疗服务。
你要再陪我走10年，好不好？好的话再说。
Pup Nation, every Monday, 8:15 p.m. on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching Taiwan Plus News. Recovery efforts in the wake of Typhoon Ragasa are still underway in the worst hit parts of the country. Volunteers have surged into the affected area to help clean up debris, but there are still concerns about the prospects of a timely recovery. 1 week after Typhoon Ragasa slammed into Taiwan, cleanup efforts are still underway in the country. The strongest storm of the year killed at least 18 people, according to authorities. Strong floods surged into Guangfu Township in eastern Taiwan's Hualien County after a lake in the mountains above overflowed from heavy rains. Bulldozers, brooms, and shovels. Volunteers are using anything at their disposal to clear debris from a blocked-off road. Many of them have come from other parts of the country to help out.
我住彰化，可能就车程，因为我昨天光开来这里我就开了8个小时了。
But after long journeys to get here, volunteers face rigorous work and difficult conditions.
雨鞋磨到那个脚，然后破皮，不太能走路。
有蛮大一部分都是外伤，就是各种这个擦挫伤啦、割伤啦，然后甚至有一些人是因为一直不断的铲土之后造成的扭伤。内科的病人大部分都是因为天气太热了，有一些热伤害。
With more volunteers arriving, some are questioning how they're being allocated.
我们现在有几个部落反映，就是我们协助的志工有点偏少，那他们的这个清理速度比较慢。
But time is ticking on the support these volunteers are bringing. Many of them have come over a long holiday weekend to help out, but many will need to return home for work on Tuesday.
到明天才会离开。就整个连假都在这边。对。
There's concern here that once this weekend's volunteers head back home, there won't be enough helping hands needed to dig this town out of the mud and get it back on its feet. But with the military also helping with the recovery efforts, the goal is to have everything cleaned up by the first weekend in October. Hank Xu and Leslie Liao for Taiwan Plus. At least 8 people are dead and 17 are missing after Typhoon Boloi hit Vietnam. Boloi, which has now been downgraded to a tropical storm, made landfall along the country's north-central coastline on Monday. It damaged houses and it knocked out power grids, with some areas flooding from torrential rains. Nearly 30,000 people have been evacuated and hundreds of flights canceled. Residents of a community in southern Taiwan have developed businesses revolving around a native herb, giving a boost to the economy while empowering the community. Aichi reports.
This is one of Taiwan's native herbs, huangjing, commonly known as the chaste tree, and is a signature plant of the Ailiao community in Pingdong, with blue-purple flowers among its sharp leaves and woody stems. The plant is not only a food source for bees, it also brings economic benefits to the local community.
它的花，我们把它让蜜蜂来采。那新鲜的叶子呢，可以加入食材，然后干燥的呢，我们就可以把它拿来煮黄金蛋。
The association sells Huangjing-based products including honey, snacks, and soap. They also hold hands-on DIY classes. Its members come from different generations, with elders passing on their knowledge and know-how, while younger members take care of the business side of things.
在家做做到足欢喜的。菜园的那个高度就是不会很高，又不会很矮，高度好，老人比较好工作，工作过头脑比较有用工作给他做才不会那个很该失智。
Besides creating senior-friendly vegetable gardens, part of the association's profits are reinvested in care centers and empowering community members through activities that encourage participation, such as collecting and compiling elderly members' life stories to preserve and share.
在这边呢，让长辈去回忆他以前，从出生，然后到读书，然后到就业，然后到娶妻生子，然后到最后，甚至他最后已经迈入老年的一个生活。在这里面，我们找出他以前的丰功伟业的时候，那长辈的一个心灵，也会觉得说，对，原来我也是如此风光过。
With life here centered around Huangjing, people weave the land and human connections together, binding a unique community and local economy with care and tradition. Andy She and IT for Taiwan Plus.
A couple in southern Taiwan has turned betel nut, usually chewed as a stimulant, into a source of dye for clothing and accessories. It took years to perfect their techniques, but they found ways to make over 500 shades from this single source. John Van Trieste has more.
The clothing in this shop looks like it could come from any of the major fashion brands, but it's actually part of a social and ecological experiment. The cloth all comes from the rural interior of Taiwan's tropical far south, and all the dyes come from an unlikely source. The betel nut is best known in Asia as a stimulant that is chewed, leaving the mouth stained bright red and damaging one's health in the long term. But husband and wife entrepreneurs Wang Yifan and Huang Wanjie have found in them an excellent source of coloring, able to create a range of subtle hues that are perfect for fashion. The idea to start experimenting with betel nut pigments began in 2021 at the height of the COVID pandemic, when the couple moved from Taipei back to their hometown of Neipu in Pingdong County. Betel nut trees are plentiful there, but the idea of using them to dye cloth struck many locals as bizarre.
他们一个反应也会是，为什么要做这件事情？槟榔就是拿来割，跟拿来卖，跟拿来吃啊！你要去染它干嘛？染出来的布可以做什么用？做成的东西又可以卖多少钱？又可以卖给谁？他们其实都是对这东西有很多的问号。
Still, their research went on.
所以我们花了很多时间在做实验记录的研究，去发掘到底槟榔可以染出来多少的颜色，以及这个实验的记录是怎么可以控制的，还有就是它的色票是透过变色仪用科学的方式去辨证它的颜色。
It took 3 years of experiments with different temperatures and water characteristics, but eventually they'd worked out how to get 514 different shades from this one source, fallen betel nuts. But even now they know how to do it, extracting all these dyes is still hard work. The nuts need to dry out, then the cores need to be extracted, crushed, and boiled. The whole process takes 5 months. But the result is eco-friendly clothing, bags, pillowcases, and accessories, and the prospect of new jobs in a rural, aging part of the country. The couple later found out that they actually weren't the first to think of making dyes from betel nut. That honor goes to early modern Japan. Still, they're proud to have independently rediscovered the technique, and of making it perhaps a part of Taiwan's modern culture.
我觉得颜色可以当成一个文化的载体，然后我们就是用槟榔的红，然后跟土地的褐，然后在台湾的土地上长出台湾的颜色。
With a sense of both color and style, they're putting a local product onto the mass market and carving out a new niche in the fashion world. Leon Lin and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan has nabbed 1 gold and 2 silvers at a major international badminton tournament in southern Taiwan. With nearly 300 players joining from around the world, TaiwanPlus went to the finals to find out who's coming out on top.
The crowd goes wild as Taiwan's badminton player Wang Bowei defeats his opponent Panachapporn Taratsukun of Thailand in 2 of 3 rounds at the 2025 Victor Kaohsiung Masters Finals. That win bagging Taiwan's first gold at the event.
The men's single champion from Chinese Taipei, Wang Bowei.
But reaching the top of the podium wasn't easy. It was a tightly fought game that left both players exhausted by the 3rd round. Wang says he pushed through, determined to win.
撑不住的时候，就听到他们的加油声，也会告诉自己要撑下去，就是不能辜负大家的期望跟加油。
Meanwhile, Taiwan's mixed doubles team, Wu Sheni and Yang Chuyun, won silver after being defeated by their Japanese opponents Koga Akira and Imai Yuho. The duo previously won gold at the World University Games in Germany this summer. They say this game is pushing them to improve for future matches.
我觉得我的临场反应吧，就是有时候在比赛中遇到问题没办法解决，对我要去改进。
Taiwan also picked up another silver medal in men's doubles, with Su Qingheng and Wu Guanshun rounding out the tournament's medal haul. The finals drew massive crowds, not just for the championship match, but also for a special highlight, the Red Bull Battle of Rackets 3-on-3 Showdown, a fun twist on traditional training. And a special appearance from Taiwan's badminton star Dai Ziying, who participated in a performance match, marking her first time back on court since knee surgery last year.
现在还是一样在复原的阶段，医生应该是建议我不要下来就是打，因为他怕我会不小心就是跑动范围太大，然后会伤到，所以医生有交代我只可以1步的距离，我刚好像有不小心超过了。今天其实看到蛮多人都还有留下来继续看球，其实很开心。
Dai recently made headlines after a year without playing in any tournaments, causing her world ranking points to reset to 0. But despite the setback, Badminton World Federation commentator Jill Clark called her the greatest women's singles player of all time. As Taiwan closes the Victor Kaohsiung Masters with 1 gold and 2 silvers, the real reward for the fans is more than the medal tally, as they lift athletes' spirits and get a rare treat seeing the queen of Taiwan badminton return to the court. Ryan Wu, Sandy Chi and Laurel Stewart for TaiwanPlus.
And thank you for watching Taiwan Plus News. You can visit the Taiwan Plus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Before we go, let's take a look at India's Durga Puja, a 10-day Hindu festival. I'm Leslie Liao. Take care and see you next time.